Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ. Jeanelle will join us in just a moment. But first, more details emerging tonight for Vice President Mike Pence's trip to Billings this week. Pence and Second Lady Karen Pence will return to the Treasure State this Wednesday at the invitation of Senator Steve Daines to see firsthand Montana's meth crisis. Q2's Zoe Zandora standing by with more information. Zoe?
The Vice President will meet privately with stakeholders, local law enforcement, and other federal officials as they focus on a three-pronged approach to combating Montana's meth crisis. Now, that approach: treatment, prevention, and enforcement. The Rimrock Foundation, an adult inpatient treatment program here in Billings, is part of the Substance Abuse Coalition and will join the Vice President on Wednesday. Rimrock CEO Lynette Kosovich tells us drug use is on a rise, especially meth, which she says they are realizing on a federal level that there are more drugs out there that are causing devastation beyond to our communities.
Some of the ways we're seeing the feds react to recognizing there are other drugs. AG Sessions was here over a year ago, and he came to talk about the opioid epidemic, but in a personal conversation, we got to talk about some of the things that really cause us concern here in Montana. Having Vice President Pence here really shines a light on the true depth of this problem.
Now, an outline to the visit: Vice President Mike Pence and Second Lady Karen Pence will arrive around noon at Billings Logan International Airport Wednesday. He'll be joined on Air Force 2 by Senator Steve Daines and Representative Greg Gianforte. Pence will then travel by motorcade to Riverstone Health Clinic and get a briefing from the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Task Force and the Yellowstone Substance Abuse Coalition. After he delivers remarks, he will go to Willow Way, a group home for patients struggling with addiction. Later, he will attend a political fundraising event for Senator Steve Daines. Now, none of the events on Wednesday are open to the public. Russ?
All right, thank you, Zoe. Billings City Council members meeting at this hour to try and hammer out a solution to a 2020 budget shortfall. City staff suggests the council make cuts that are grouped into three options. It would together cut about $6 million from the 2020 budget. Council members are also discussing the possibility of putting public safety mill levy on the ballot in May of 2020. No action will be taken at the meeting tonight. The council will only discuss the options. City Council has until June 30th to finalize the 2020 budget. We'll take a closer look at how it could impact you tonight on Q2 News at 10. It is the summer party here in Billings. Good food, drinks, and top entertainment, all to help a local cause and better the health care in our community. It is the Billings Clinic Classic, and although the Alberta Bear Theater is torn up for a massive remodel, the 2019 Classic will go on. Jeanelle is standing by live outside the Alberta Bear in downtown Billings, where the Classic team plans to alter things a little bit. Jeanelle?
Yes, Russ, alter is the key word for tonight's announcements, not only for the entertainment, but also for the party. Let's start with the party. The 2019 Billings Clinic Classic right here, Saturday, August 24th. The theme that night is going to be urban. So it's going to be downtown right here. They'll block off everything around here. There will be lights, there will be music, there will be champagne. It will be an amazing night. And for that, this year's Classic will feature Alter Ego. Alter Ego from Montreal, Canada is called North America's top party band. It's a non-stop all-dance repertoire featuring the best of 70s disco, 80s rock, 90s pop, and hit songs from the new millennium. With 7 lead singer-dancers and 95 costume changes, I Hear the Group puts on a show like no other. Now, joining us now is the Classic Chair, 2019 Classic Chair Eileen McDonald, along with the Billings Clinic Foundation Director of Philanthropy, Amberly Payhat. Thanks so much, you guys, for coming.
Thank you.
Every year, there's so much that goes on to put this on every year, but there's always an amazing cause behind it. What is the cause this year?
The cause this year is the Sustainability Fund for the Psychiatric Residency Program at the Billings Clinic.
Okay, and we're going to go over to Amberly and say, Amberly, on the clinical side of things, what does that mean?
Billings Clinic has been long committed to mental health services, but there's always more work to do. And a few years ago, our community may remember that the Classic was geared to support mental health. And with that, we were able to build the new psychiatric stabilization unit that just celebrated its first birthday. And we've seen tremendous success in patient care with that. And the residency program is our next step in really providing access to not just our community, but also our region and state.
Awesome program. Thanks so much. I can't wait for the party, ladies. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. And Russ, with that, tickets go on sale for the 2019 Billings Clinic Classic tomorrow morning at 8:30. You can get those tickets at the foundation, the Billings Clinic Foundation in downtown Billings, or you can give them a call at the Billings Clinic Foundation. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Jeanelle. Again, the 2019 Billings Clinic Classic promising a great show. Well, the man charged in connection with the death of a Broadwater County Sheriff's deputy will not be forcibly medicated while the Montana Supreme Court considers his case. A district judge in Helena ruled back in April that Lloyd Barris could be forcibly medicated in an attempt to make him fit to stand trial. Barris's attorneys asked the Supreme Court to overturn that decision, arguing the state hadn't proven the necessary elements to justify forced treatment. They requested last week that the court put a stay on the judge's order. The court agreed to delay the treatment plan while considering the appeal. Prosecutors say Barris's son Marshall fatally shot Deputy Mason Moore near Three Forks in May of 2017. The two men then led law enforcement on a chase that ended near Missoula. Marshall Barris was killed in a shootout with officers. Lloyd Barris has been charged with 5 felonies, including deliberate homicide by accountability. He was found unfit to stand trial last year. Well, the woman is in jail and her husband is dead after police say she ran over him while she was driving drunk this past Sunday. First responders in Sheridan, Wyoming found a man in the middle of East Brundage Street with severe trauma. Investigation revealed that he'd been hit by a truck driven by his wife, 40-year-old Angela Livingston, after he got out of the vehicle without her knowledge. Livingston had stopped the truck in the middle of the road during an argument with a couple on a motorcycle. The man was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. It's not known why the woman drove off without her husband in the car or why the man exited it. Livingston remains in jail tonight on recommended charges of DUI and aggravated homicide by vehicle. Well, new developments surrounding a massive sexual abuse case involving the former Miles City High School athletic trainer. A state judge in Custer County is dismissing 2 critical complaints ahead of trial, prompting plaintiffs in that case to again counterfile in response. Back in May, Judge Nicholas Murnian heard oral arguments during the summary judgment hearing by both sides. The civil suit was filed in September against 79-year-old Jim Jensen and the Miles City Unified School District by 32 former male student athletes under the guise of treatment. After weeks of review, Murnian found Monday that because Jensen was a guardian of the abused, the school district was not required to report child abuse according to state law. Murnian also granted the district's wish to dismiss a claim of vicarious liability. Now, attorney for the plaintiffs, John Heenan, tells MTN News they refiled again later this afternoon. He says they don't perceive this ruling as a loss, but instead a slight delay in justice. Jensen is currently in federal custody. All right, we want to turn to the weather for a moment. Bob, we may not be thrilled with the ups and downs of these temperatures, but we can definitely be happy that the river levels seem to be dropping some.
Yeah, they all went up about a foot over the weekend on Saturday when we had all that rain. In the Billings area, we had about a half an inch of rain, and now, since in the good news, they are starting to go down. Let me show you what the river levels were at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And as you can see, the Yellowstone River at Billings down to 9.45 inches. Yellowstone River at Livingston at 6.55. It was 303 over the Shields River by Livingston. Clark's Fork of the Yellowstone, that was at 5.12 inches. That was the one that's over by Belfry. And also the Stillwater at Absaroka, that's at 4.85. So you'll notice basically now all these rivers are about 60% full as opposed to about 75% full as they were a few days ago. One other river to talk about, the Tongue River, that's now at flood stage at 7 feet. That's over there by Burning. It continues to rise a little bit. We'll see what happens. We're keeping an eye on that one. That's expected to go out of its banks again tonight. We'll have more of that coming your way in a few more minutes. Russ?
All right, thank you, Bob. Well, one driver is lucky to be off the Beartooth Pass safely after being stranded in sudden blizzard-like weather over the weekend. Just after midnight on Saturday, Wyoming Highway Patrol was notified of a motorist stranded on US 212. Friend of the motorist tried to reach him, but he had to turn back because even his four-wheel drive truck couldn't reach him in the 3 to 4 foot snow drifts. Wyoming Highway Patrol also tried to reach him, and that trooper was also unsuccessful. 4 hours later at 5 a.m., it took National Park Service employees with a plow and shovels to free the stranded driver. Wyoming Highway Patrol also issuing a reminder that despite what the calendar says, conditions can change quickly in the mountains, and always be prepared for wintry weather, and always being ready in case you do get stranded or for whatever weather might bring. And make sure that you have enough fuel and provisions to survive. All right, coming up on tonight's 5:30 news, the turbulence of battle now calmed by waters. We're going to look at the freedom on the Flathead. And in sports, your college national finals rodeo is underway in Wyoming. Scott will show us who's off to a hot start and reveals your high school champions. That's coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.